All right, strap yourselves in because we're going deep today.
Deeper deep.
Deep into Black MIDI.
Ooh.
A world where music, well, some people would say it's music.
Some.
It becomes this crazy visual and audio experience.
Yeah.
And I'm sure some of you have heard of MIDI, right?
Yeah.
That computer music format, kind of old school now.
Yeah.
But Black MIDI, this is where things get really interesting.
This is where the fun begins.
It's like, imagine like a whole symphony orchestra crammed onto one piano,
Oh, wow.
playing at warp speed.
Like 100 pianists all at once.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And to help us unpack all this, we've got some really interesting sources lined up.
Yeah, some fun stuff.
Excerpts from the Black MIDI wiki, articles from some tech websites like Hackaday and Rhizome,
Oh, cool.
even some of those
Spicy. Hacks, news threads.
Hacker News comment threads.
So much fun there.
So we're going to uncover the origins of Black MIDI, its ties to Japanese gaming culture,
Oh, yeah.
the obsession with note counts.
Like, how many notes can we possibly fit
Exactly.
with this thing?
And how this all just pushes the boundaries of not just music, but even technology itself and human perception.
Absolutely. Really stretches what those things can do.
I mean, where do we even begin with this? Maybe with the origins.
Yeah, the origins are a great place to start.
And this all starts in Japan, specifically with this video game series called Touhou Project.
To who?
And from what I've gathered, Touhou is known for these bullet hell shooters.
Just a wall of bullets coming at you.
It's crazy.
And incredibly fast-paced music to go with it.
It's almost like an assault on the senses.
Oh, yeah. Definitely.
And it seems like Black MIDI really captures that same frenetic energy.
Yeah, it's almost like a sonic mirror of the gameplay itself.
And the first known Black MIDI video, get this, was actually a remix of a Touhou song called You and Owen Was Her,
A classic.
uploaded to
Nico
Nico Dube
back in 2009.
by a username, this is a mouthful,
Oh, yeah.
Shirasagi Yuki at Kuroyuki Gohan.
What was his name?
I know, imagine being that person, the one who kind of sparked this whole movement.
I know, like, what would they think if they knew what they had started?
It's incredible to think about the ripple effect of just that one upload.
And it all started in Japan, but it definitely didn't stay there.
It spread like wildfire.
Blackers from all over the world picked it up.
China, Korea, the West.
Everyone wanted in on the action.
And this brings us to, well,
The note counts.
this note count obsession in the Black MIDI community.
That's like a badge of honor.
It's like, how many notes can we possibly cram into one MIDI file?
Right?
Early tracks were already mind-blowing.
Like 100 notes every second,
100 notes per second.
which is already insane.
But now we're talking about millions of notes.
Millions?
Millions.
It's mind-boggling.
What is driving this? This need to just pack in as many notes as humanly possible.
Well, I think on the one hand, it's a technical challenge.
Right.
Like, how far can we push the software?
Can we break it?
Can we break the hardware?
Yeah.
But I think there's also an element of artistic expression there.
Okay.
Like, who can create the most complex sonic tapestry?
Right. And you have blackers,
If I can make her.
also known as Shinyu Kian,
Yeah.
who created, get this, a 21 million note Touhou Project track.
I mean, how do you even begin to comprehend 21 million notes?
It's just unfathomable.
It's crazy.
So is there like a limit?
Is there a ceiling?
Or are they just constantly trying to outdo each other?
Well, there's this video out there called Black MIDI UN. Owen was her 110 million
Oh, wow.
by Gingis.
Oh.
And it might be the record breaker. We don't know for sure.
That just shows you the competitive spirit within this community.
They just want to push it further and further.
Yet is it just about the numbers?
Or is there something more to it?
Is there actual music in those millions of notes?
It's a great question, and that's what we're going to try to figure out.
Oh, we can't forget the visual aspect.
Oh, yeah, the visualizers.
These Black MIDI visualizers.
Like synesthesia and piano from above.
They transform the music into this spectacle.
It's like watching fireworks, but for your ears.
Imagine like a waterfall of colorful notes coming down a piano roll.
And each one of those notes triggering a visual response.
It's mesmerizing.
It really adds another layer of complexity to the whole experience.
But how do they even create these tracks?
With millions of notes.
Yeah, wouldn't the software just choke?
Well, even with standard MIDI files, being able to handle these huge note counts,
Right.
playback at these densities is a challenge.
Yeah, it's pushing the limits of what the software and hardware can do.
Absolutely.
I was reading some comments on Hackaday,
Yeah.
and someone pointed out that a lot of synthesizers can only play so many notes at the same time.
Limited number of ones.
So how do blackers create these super dense tracks that actually sound like something?
Right.
Is it just noise, or is there a method to create musicality within this density?
Another great question, and one we'll definitely be exploring further.
Stay tuned.
We'll be right back. Welcome back to our deep dive into Black MIDI.
You know, as we're going through all these sources,
Yeah.
one thing keeps coming back to me.
Okay.
This drive, this human drive
Yeah.
to just push things to the limit.
To see how far we can go.
How far can we push something before it breaks?
Break it.
And it feels like Black MIDI is like a perfect example of that.
Well, absolutely.
It's like, how far can we go?
Yeah.
And in the case of Black MIDI, it's all about pushing the boundaries of musical density.
Of what technology can actually handle.
And even our own perception of sound.
Our ears, our brains.
I mean, millions of notes.
Millions.
Crammed into a single piece of music.
It's almost like a dare.
Can you even comprehend this?
Yeah, like, can you even process this much information?
But within that chaos, there's this underlying order.
There is.
You start to see this structure.
Yeah.
This intentionality.
It's not random.
It's not just noise.
There's a method to the madness, as they say.
That reminds me of something I read in the Hackaday article.
Oh, yeah.
They called Black MIDI the densest music there is.
Okay.
And they made this comparison to chiptune music.
From those old video games.
Yeah, those old school video games.
With the 8-bit sound chips and all that.
So they were working within limitations.
Yeah, they had to.
But Black MIDI almost feels like the opposite.
Like a rebellion against limitations.
Like, okay, technology can handle millions of notes.
So let's do it.
Let's see what happens.
Push it to the max.
And that's what makes it so hard to categorize.
Right.
Is it classical?
Is it electronic?
Is it noise music?
It's kind of its own thing.
It really is.
It defies definition.
And that brings up the question.
The big question.
Is this just a technical gimmick?
Or is this a legitimate art form?
And the Hacker News discussions.
Oh, those were fun.
They were a battleground.
Yeah, some people were like, this is garbage, this is just noise.
But others were like, this is incredible. The skill, the creativity.
Sheer audacity of it.
Like art in general, right?
It's so subjective.
What one person loves.
Another person hates.
But that doesn't diminish the artistic intent behind it.
Not at all.
And Black MIDI definitely provokes strong reactions, one way or another.
One commenter on Hacker News said it was like the rock band song from hell.
Oh, wow.
Which is, I mean...
pretty vivid.
Yeah, pretty...
But there's also this strange beauty to it.
Yeah.
This overwhelming power, intensity.
It's like staring into a sonic abyss.
And then you add the visual element.
The visualizer.
And it becomes even more...
mesmerizing.
It's like watching a painting being created in real time.
And it makes you think about how interconnected different art forms can be.
It really does. And speaking of interconnectedness...
Okay.
I'm fascinated by how Black MIDI's origins in Japanese gaming culture tie into all of this.
Right.
You've got this blend of Japanese anime.
The visuals, the aesthetics.
And video game aesthetics.
Yeah.
Mixed with Western musical traditions.
And this cutting-edge technology.
It feels very global.
A product of the internet age.
It really is.
Yeah.
And something else that's really impressive is the sense of community.
Yeah, the collaboration.
In the Black MIDI world.
They're always sharing MIDI files, techniques.
Pushing each other to create even more complex and visually stunning pieces.
It's a really cool example of open source creativity.
It's inspiring.
And it reminds us that even in this digital age, community and collaboration are essential for innovation.
But where does all this lead?
That's the big question.
What is the future of Black MIDI?
I mean, it's already challenged our ideas of what music can be.
It's made us rethink technology's role in musical expression.
So as technology keeps evolving, who knows what new sonic explorations might emerge?
And maybe Black MIDI is just a stepping stone to something even more mind-blowing.
Or maybe it fades into obscurity.
Either way, it's made a mark.
It's shown us that even the simplest musical format, like the MIDI file,
can be a launchpad for incredible creativity and innovation.
It's a reminder that art is constantly being pushed.
And the most exciting discoveries
often lie just beyond the edge of what we thought was possible.
So we've talked about Black MIDI as this limit-pushing phenomenon.
The connections to chiptune music and visual art.
Its roots in Japanese gaming culture.
And the collaborative spirit driving it all.
But what about the music itself?
Yeah.
We talked about the debate. Is it real music or is it just noise?
The age-old question.
But I want to go deeper into the listening experience.
Okay, let's do it.
What's it actually like to listen to a Black MIDI track?
Yeah, what should someone expect to hear?
And we're back for the final part of our deep dive into...
The world of Black MIDI.
I know, it's been quite the journey.
It has.
We've explored the history, the technical stuff.
The culture.
But I think it's important
To bring it back.
to the music.
Yeah, to the actual listening experience.
It talked about the visuals,
The millions of notes.
technical challenges.
But what's it like to actually listen to this stuff?
Right, because it's easy to get caught up in all the other stuff.
Yeah, the numbers, the visualizers.
But at the end of the day, it's still sound.
It's still music.
Even if it kind of challenges what we normally think of as music.
It pushes the boundaries.
So paint us a picture.
Okay, so imagine you press play
Yeah.
and you're immediately hit with this wall of sound.
Okay.
It's dense, it's chaotic.
Almost overwhelming.
Your brain is struggling to make sense of it all.
Like sensory overload.
You might hear these little melodic fragments,
Okay.
rhythmic patterns,
But they're gone as quickly as they appear.
fleeting, shifting, buried under layers upon layers of notes
It's like trying to follow a conversation
in a crowded room.
where everyone's talking at once.
Exactly. And that's part of what makes Black MIDI so interesting.
It's a different way of listening.
You have to let go of the need to grasp every single note.
You can't follow a traditional melody.
You have to surrender to the experience,
Let it wash over you.
like sonic meditation.
Ah, that's a good way to put it.
You're just observing the flow of sound,
Not trying to analyze it.
just letting it be.
And in that chaos,
You might start to hear this unexpected beauty,
really,
intricate patterns, textures you wouldn't find in traditional music.
so it's not just noise.
There's more to it than that.
It reminds me of those Jackson Pollock paintings.
Yeah, abstract expressionism,
At first glance, it seems like chaos.
but then you start to see the details.
The interplay of colors, the composition.
Black MIDI can be like that, but with sound.
Someone on Hacker News mentioned that Black MIDI reminded them of spectral music,
Spectral music.
which focuses on these things called overtones.
Right, and microtonal intervals.
Those tiny spaces between the notes on a traditional scale.
It goes beyond the familiar.
It's pushing into these uncharted sonic territories.
And that's where the whole debate about its artistic merit comes in.
Right. Is it a technical novelty?
Or is it pushing the boundaries of musical expression?
Is it redefining what music can be?
Big questions.
I don't think there's a simple answer.
It depends on the listener.
Their background, their expectations.
Someone with a classical music background might not get it.
But someone who's into experimental electronic music might love it.
It's all subjective.
And that's the beauty of art.
No right or wrong answer.
It's about the experience.
The emotional response, the questions it raises,
And I think Black MIDI does that really well.
whether you love it or hate it.
It starts a conversation.
It makes us think about music in a new way.
And beyond the music itself,
There's this whole world of creativity surrounding it.
the visualizers.
They're not just add-ons,
They're part of the experience.
blending sound and visuals.
Which makes me wonder, could Black MIDI inspire new forms of multimedia art?
Where sound and visuals are even more tightly connected.
Installations, performances.
Virtual reality experiences.
He could push the boundaries of art in really exciting directions.
Absolutely.
And what about artificial intelligence?
Oh, interesting.
Could AI be used to create Black MIDI?
Even more complex and sophisticated Black MIDI.
Could AI be a collaborator?
Working with human composers?
To explore new sonic possibilities.
I mean, we're already seeing AI being used in music composition.
It's not that far-fetched.
It could be the next step in the evolution of Black MIDI.
But then that brings up another question.
What does it mean for a machine to create art?
Does it devalue human creativity?
Or does it just give us new tools?
I don't think there's an easy answer to that either.
It's a debate that's going to keep going.
But one thing's for sure.
Black MIDI is at the forefront of this conversation,
It's pushing boundaries.
exploring new sonic frontiers.
So as we wrap up this deep dive,
Yeah.
I'm left with this sense of wonder.
Excitement,
Black MIDI is a reminder that creativity can come from anywhere,
that limitations can be opportunities,
and that the future of music, of art in general.
is full of possibilities.
If you're listening to this, I encourage you to seek out some Black MIDI.
Experience it for yourself.
You might be surprised by what you discover.
And who knows, you might even find yourself drawn into this world.
This world of sonic extremes.
The world of Black MIDI.
Thanks for joining us.
It's been a pleasure.